So when you dive into Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon, it feels like you're not just reading a story. You're looking at something um, really carefully built, like literary architecture.
That's a great way to put it. And what's amazing for this deep dive is we actually have Morrison's own thoughts on it, her own analysis of what she was trying to do.
Right, she talked about this challenge, didn't she? Making a what she called a radical shift in imagination.
Exactly. She needed to shift gears, moving from what she called a female locus, mostly focused on the home, women's inner lives, to a male one.
A male one, centered on journey, travel, flight.
Yeah.
Big themes.
Huge themes for this book. It was a really different direction for her work at the time.
So for listeners maybe not deep into literary terms, what does that shift from a female locus actually mean for the story itself? Like, do the women suddenly become less important, or is it more about the setting, the geography?
It's mostly about what's driving the plot forward. Her earlier books often stayed, within the walls of the home, more or less. But here, the whole story is built around this tension, this pull between moving, the journey, the flight, the escape, and the people who get left behind.
Okay, usually the women, right?
Yeah.
Grounded by responsibility or sometimes just abandonment.
Precisely. The novel literally starts with one kind of flight, a really drastic one, and ends with another. And that whole structure frames the exploration of Solomon's flight, the ancestor, which Morrison calls mystical but problematic.
That framing feels so deliberate. It sets up this kind of saga structure, moving forward in time, but always, always looking back.
Yes, and she doesn't mess around. She packs those core ideas, those conflicts, right into the very first sentence.
The famous one, the one that kind of mimics or maybe mocks that journalistic style.
Unforgettable. The North Carolina mutual life insurance agent promised to fly from Mercy to the other side of Lake Superior at 3.0.
Wow. Just hearing it again.
Yeah.
It's not just setting a scene, is it? It's like you said, a whole manifesto packed in there.
Totally. Political, geographical, symbolic, it's all in that one line.
Okay, let's try and break that down a bit because it's incredibly dense. First off, the company name, North Carolina Mutual Life.
Right, a real company, a well-known, historic, Black-owned business. And think about the words in the name itself. Life and mutual. Loaded.
And then the geography. North Carolina to Lake Superior. That screams great migration south to north.
It does, that traditional path. But here's one of those inversions Morrison does so well. Milkman, our protagonist, he eventually has to reverse that. He has to go south to figure himself out, to find his history.
Interesting. And the big symbolic words are right there, too. Fly, escape, maybe freedom, maybe danger, and mercy. That feels like what everyone watching is hoping for, right? Mercy.
It's the unspoken need of the whole community. But for me, the absolute key word there is the verb promised.
Ah, he doesn't just announce it or threaten suicide?
No, he promises, like he's fulfilling a contract. It reframes the act entirely.
So it's not just despair driving him.
Yeah.
It's an obligation, a statement, a promise made to the community, maybe hoping it forces some kind of change.
That's how I read it. A radical act delivered as a promise, demanding something shift.
And the location just hammers that home. He jumps from Mercy Hospital.
Which, as the community knew, it was bitterly called No Mercy Hospital.
Yeah, our sources really highlight why. That systemic racism.
Oh.
It wasn't until the day after this guy jumps that the first Black expectant mother was even allowed inside the wards to give birth. Before that, the steps.
So that flight, that promise, it literally broke down a barrier, pushed a door open. Incredible.
That kind of resistance, holding on to your own identity against the official version, it's even baked into the streets, the street names.
Oh yeah, the Dr. Street saga. Officially it was Mains Avenue, but everyone called it Dr. Street after the only Black doctor there.
Until the city legislators forced them to change it, right?
Right, so what did the residents do? They just started calling it not Dr. Street.
Huh. Refusing to forget, keeping their own map alive. It's subtle, but so powerful.
It is a kind of grounded defiance.
Yeah.
Then you contrast that community defiance with the mess inside the main family's home. Milkman Dead's family.
Yeah, Milkman. He's born the day after the insurance agents jump, so he sort of inherits this world shaped by flight and its consequences from day one.
And then he gets that nickname, Milkman. Not exactly heroic sounding.
No, because Freddie the janitor catches him at age 4, still nursing from his mother, Ruth.
Yep. And his father, Macon Dead Sr., sees this, and it just fuels his disgust. Macon Sr. is such a chilling figure, defined by that bitterness, that calculated cruelty.
He seems to keep his whole family, Ruth, the daughters Lena and Corinthians, just tense, Awkward with fear, Morrison writes. His only excitement is in stirring up that tension, spoiling their grace.
And so much of Macon Sr.'s anger, his whole persona, seems rooted in his own name, Macon Dead, which wasn't even his family's real name, was it?
No, another piece of history gone wrong. It came from a mistake back when his father, the first Macon Dead, Jake, was registering after emancipation.
With the Freedmen's Bureau, the story's just...
Yeah.
Wow, a drunk Union soldier, a Yankee clerk.
Yeah, filling out the form, puts Dead where the last name should be, and Macon, the place his father was from, where the first name should be, just flips them.
And Jake just keeps it, creates this name, Macon Dead, that his son, Macon Sr., carries like this heavy, dead weight.
But didn't Jake's wife, Sing, actually like the name? She thought it would.
Yeah, she thought it would wipe out the past, kind of free them from history. The irony is thick, right?
It really is. Because Macon
Yeah.
Sr. does the opposite. He's trapped by it, obsessed with property, money, completely cut off from any real connection to that past.
Which makes the contrast with his sister, Pilot, even stronger. She walks into the novel and she's this immediate, powerful counterforce.
Pilot. Definitely eccentric, instantly memorable, and her name has a story too, right? Another accident almost?
Another random act shaping identity. Her father, Jake again, couldn't read well. He just points blindly at a passage in the Bible to know her.
And lands on Pilate, like Pontius Pilate. The guy says, like a Christ-killing Pilate. Oof.
Heavy name to carry. But what does she do? She accepts it, writes it on a piece of paper, folds it up super tiny, puts it in a little brass box, and wears it as an earring, takes ownership of it.
That says so much about her right away.
Yeah.
And she completely rejects everything her brother Macon chases, doesn't she?
Totally. She lives without what people call progress. No electricity, no gas, cooks with wood or coal. Morrison writes it's like progress was a word that meant walking a little farther on down the road. Just not interested.
She's an outsider in a really fundamental way, and it's physical too. That detail about her navel, or lack of one.
Yeah, that's huge. Our sources really emphasize this. She gets kicked out of a migrant camp as a young woman because the other women see she doesn't have a belly button.
And they're terrified. Why? What does that signify to them?
They think she wasn't born natural, that she's something unnatural, maybe ungodly. It marks her as fundamentally different, cut off from, like, the normal chain of birth and connection.
Wow, lacking that physical mark of maternal origin.
Exactly. And Pilot eventually figures out that this difference, this physical absence, is why men were often scared of her body, too. It's like her power comes from embracing that otherness, that exile.
Even Macon Sr., who hates her lifestyle,
Yeah.
can't totally escape her influence, can he? There's that scene.
Oh, the singing scene. Yeah. He's tired, grumpy, avoiding her house as usual, but he hears them singing Pilot, her daughter Reba, and her granddaughter Hagar.
And the sound just gets to him, that blend of voices.
It softens him for a moment. He realizes there's no music in his own house, stuffed with possessions but empty of joy. And he feels this pull, wanting just a little bit of music from the person who had been his first caring for.
Pilot represents that connection, that history that maybe he tried to bury or replace with money.
She absolutely does. And this really brings us back to that core tension Morrison sets up. Flight versus staying grounded. Escape versus commitment.
Morrison herself was pretty clear that all the flights in the book, Solomon's, the insurance agents, Milkman's own attempts, they're not simple triumphs. They're ambiguous, disturbing, she said.
Right, because the freedom, the escape, it's always tangled up with abandonment, with guilt. Solomon's magical flight back to Africa was amazing, yeah, but it was also him leaving his wife, Rhina, and 21 kids behind.
That's a heavy price for freedom. And Milkman repeats that pattern, doesn't he? On a smaller scale, but still devastatingly, with Hagar.
Pilot's granddaughter, Hagar. He uses her, relies on her love for years, and then just cuts her off. Sends her money and a cold thank you note. Done.
And the consequence isn't just heartbreak. It's dangerous. Hagar becomes obsessed, literally tries to kill him every month.
Yeah, it's not just melodrama. It shows the cost of that particular kind of male freedom Milkman is chasing. His escape attempt leads directly to her madness and violence. She's another Rhina, left behind and consumed by grief and rage.
So Milkman can't really achieve flight or maturity until he stops running away and starts running towards something, towards his history.
Exactly. He has to go south, back to the roots, back to Shalimar, Virginia. That's where he finally hears the full story, the legend of the flying African, his great-grandfather Solomon.
And the legend itself confirms that ambiguity, right? Solomon flew, yes.
Yeah.
But he dropped his son Jake Milkman's grandfather mid-flight.
Right.
and left Rhina crying on the ground.
Her grief is supposedly still heard in the wind at Rhina's Gulch. So Milkman learns his inheritance isn't the gold he thought he was chasing. It's this complex legacy. Magic mixed with pain, flight mixed with abandonment.
But that gold is another thread running through the whole book. Macon Sr. is convinced Pilot stole a bag of gold from a cave years ago.
Right, back when they were young. He thinks they killed a white man in that cave and Pilot took the gold. Milkman spends a good chunk of his journey trying to track down that supposed treasure.
But it turns out to be another misunderstanding, another case of mistaken identity, doesn't it? What Pilot has been carrying all those years.
It wasn't gold, it was bones. Milkman eventually figures out the bones in that green sack Pilot carries everywhere, the ones Macon thought belonged to the white man. They were actually their father's bones. Jake's bones.
Old Macon dead. His grave was disturbed and Pilot just gathered them up.
Yeah. She felt responsible for him. She says she was cut off from people early, and he was the only one she felt she could really rely on, so she carried his remains with her. The bones were the real inheritance, the real connection to the past, not some mythical gold.
That's incredible. The treasure was literally the ancestor.
And this all comes together at the end when Milkman finally understands Pilot's burden and helps her take the bones back to Solomon's Leap, Jake's ancestral home, to bury them properly.
A moment of finally connecting, putting the past to rest. But then, tragedy strikes right at that moment.
Right then. Guitar, Milkman's friend turned potential killer, is waiting. He thinks Milkman has cheated him out of the gold, sees a figure on the ridge, assumes it's Milkman.
And shoots Pilot instead.
Yeah. She dies there, on Solomon's Leap, in Milkman's arms.
And her last words, they're not about gold or flight, are they?
No, they're about connection. She whispers, I wish I'd have knowed more people, I would have loved them all. If I had knowed more, I would have loved more.
Wow. The woman who was an outcast, partly because she lacked that physical sign of connection, the navel, her dying regret is not connecting enough.
It's deeply moving. And it's the key for Milkman's final understanding. He spent the whole novel chasing literal flight or chasing wealth, but watching Pilot die, understanding her life.
He gets it. He realizes the true flight wasn't about escaping from things.
Exactly. He looks at Pilot and thinks, or maybe whispers to her spirit, without ever leaving the ground, she could fly.
That line gives me chills. It feels like Morrison just flips the whole idea of heroism on its head.
Completely. Milkman's journey seems like the classic hero's quest, but the real triumph, the real transcendence belongs to Pilot. Her flight was achieved through groundedness, through love, community, radical self-acceptance, even while being an outsider.
So wrapping this up for you, the listener, what this deep dive really shows is how Morrison layered meaning into everything. The names, the street signs, the reverse journey, this constant tension between flight and commitment.
She redefined what flight could mean. It wasn't just the male ego taking off, it was Pilot's profound ability to love and connect despite everything, staying rooted in her history and her community.
Pilot, who was literally marked as disconnected, showed the deepest form of connection. She achieved a kind of spiritual flight while firmly on the earth.
A powerful idea.
It really is. And leaves us with a question maybe. If the greatest flight, the most meaningful kind, happens without ever leaving the ground, what commitments in your life, the things that root you, not the things you escape from, what commitments represent that kind of powerful, grounded freedom? Definitely something to chew on.